Now on a 6 News investigation regarding home equity theft.
That's what private investors pay delinquent taxes. And if the original homeowner doesn't pay them back with interest, the private investors basically now own your home.
Nebraska is one of 12 states that do this. And Brian Mastery is live in the newsroom tonight with how one state senator would change the law.
John and Jacqueline, now county treasurers like this practice for the most part because it brings in outstanding tax dollars. They have tax liens, and then this is how they pay for stuff, right? The delinquent taxes are taken care of by private investors. So in Douglas County alone, we are talking about 3,600 properties, hundreds of thousands in unpaid taxes. The carrot here for private investors is a 14% interest on what they put into that project, and then also they can turn a little bit of money into a windfall. Now, I highlighted last night this example. Kevin Fair and his wife owned a small home in Scotts Bluff. It was paid off, meaning no mortgage. A few years ago, his wife was sick. Money got tight and he owed $588 in back taxes. Well, a private investor from Omaha picked up the tab and then 3 years later, as the law allows, offered the home back to him for more than $5,000. That's 3 years of taxes along with fees and interest. Kevin Fair didn't have the money. The private investor now owns the home, valued at $60,000, and can sell it and doesn't have to share the proceeds. While the Nebraska Supreme Court ruled what the investor did is allowed by Nebraska law and is constitutional, the case is on pause. That's because the U.S. Supreme Court is expected to rule on a similar case in Minnesota later this year. Meanwhile, Senator John Kavanaugh of Omaha has proposed a bill that would change part of the equation. Here's how it would impact a case like the Scotts Bluff man we just told you about.
$5,000 due on $60,000 in equity. And essentially what my bill would say is that the amount, if the house was sold, the investor would get the $5,000 that they're owed under the interest and original payment of the lien, but the original homeowner would get back the remaining $52,000 in equity.
Senator Kavanaugh's bill would also add additional notices, meaning the county and investors would need to notify the original homeowner of what's going on throughout the process so that none of it seems like a surprise as it did in the case of Kevin Fair. A hearing for that bill hasn't yet been scheduled. So right now, as we've mentioned, Douglas County Treasurer's Office has a list of all the outstanding tax liens right now. There's some 3,600 of them. I've been going through some of them this afternoon, just looking at some examples. These aren't just in one part of the city, they're spread across the area, no isolations here. So, for example, there's a home at 33rd and Burdett valued at $72,000. The homeowner owes $346. There's a home on 159th and Dorcas valued at $204,000. The homeowner owes $3,700 in back taxes. And perhaps the most unusual one, 2 properties near 108th and Fort valued at $35 million. The back taxes there are $230,000. However, John and Jacqueline, that certainly will scare away investors for this point. That's Legacy Crossing. That's the apartment complex that was condemned by the city back in December, and the owners are currently in bankruptcy. On your side in Omaha, Brian Mastery, 6 News.